So you may expect to see a man of my calibre driving my 3-litre V6 Audi S4. Or hopefully very close in the future, my 5.3-litre V12 Jaguar.
The HJS runs! I'm so happy!
But instead I'm driving this, my granddad's 1-litre Kia Picanto. It's 13 years old, it's very well loved, and he has let me borrow it while my Audi is in for a bit of work. I thought it was going to be a drive shaft. Even the AA man said it was a drive shaft after it sounded like I was running over a ball of springs. It made this horrific metallic banging noise, and I thought, well, I don't think it's wheel bearing, I think it is the drive shaft, but Audi have said it's the wheel bearing and they're doing it under warranty, so I'm quite happy with that. Yes, I've got to pay an excess, but it's £250 excess, but the job was nearly £500, so I thought, just let them do it. I'm picking the car up tomorrow. So I have given my granddad's car a little clean as a thank you for letting me borrow it. And to be honest, it's not been a bad little car to drive around. You know, yes, it's got a little 1-litre engine, 0 to 62, possible. Without having this car, I wouldn't have been able to go to the unit, which means I wouldn't have been able to put any Jaguar videos out or record any Jaguar stuff. I have got further on the Jaguar. It won't start. It's been a bit strange driving around this Kia instead of the Audi. Obviously, it's a much different car. This, I imagine, has got about 60 horsepower. I won't put it up on the screen what it's actually got, but it's a Kia. You know, you get them brand new like my granddad did with a 7-year warranty on them. Touch wood, it's been fine. 68,000 miles on the clock in 13 years. Just been used as a little runaround. As you can see, the back seats are down. I've got all my rubbish in the back from my business. What's not to like, apart from obviously the lack of speed and the lack of power and the lack of space. One other thing that is a bit of a pain in the ass is that it's such a quiet car when it's running that, one, I don't hear it, and neither do people that are in front of me. And you might think, well, why do people in front of you need to know? Well, these are people that are actually walking on the road. And no, it's not really illegal what they're doing, but in the town where I live and work, we have to drive through the town. People seem to think it's pedestrianised when it's not. When I was up behind this guy the other day, he scooted over after hearing me coming up behind him. As I was like, oh, thanks, I put it into first, and then I revved it a bit because I don't drive manuals very often, and then he was just like, what the fucking river for you, fucking prick! And I was just like, oh, sorry. People move out the way when I'm in the Audi. People allow me space. People let me out of junctions and they don't want me behind them. They pull over when I'm up behind them. You know, it's a bit harder to terrorise people in a Kia Picanto. But it's been great to have it for the week and a bit, actually. Very thoughtful of my granddad to let me borrow it for the time that I needed it. I've used it practically every day. I've done probably 100 to 150 miles in it, and I had the pleasure of filling it up the other day, and it cost me £40 instead of Audi, which cost me about £90 to fill up. And I probably did exactly the same drives I would usually do. I am looking forward to picking it up tomorrow, getting back in the Audi, seeing it again. I did ask them not to wash it because of the detail I had done on it by DAR Detailing in Liscard, Cornwall. See you tomorrow when I pick my Audi up. Thank you, sir, for my seatbelt. You joined me in an Audi. Unfortunately, it's not my Audi, which I'm quite upset about and quite annoyed, and I'll explain why. So it is the next day. I was, of course, supposed to get my Audi S4 back from Audi, and I have not been able to do so. My missus drove me all the way up to the Audi dealership. And it's like a 40-minute journey each way, and traffic was horrendous this morning, so it was even more so. The idea was that they were going to have my Audi S4 ready to go for me, and they didn't. So I turned up after being told that the wheel bearings on both sides had been done. So when I got there, the car was parked up. I took it out and to the right in their car park, and guess what? The noise, which I play now for you, was still happening. The Audi tech told me that he had taken it on a test drive, but get this, he didn't test drive it with the windows down. So to listen out for the issue on the wheel, he didn't put the window down to see if he could hear it. So we wasted quite a few hours this morning. I was there for like, I don't know, I'm going to take a guess at 30 minutes. It could be more, could be less. about 30 minutes kind of messing around, and I took him on a little test drive, showed him and he could hear the sound. He said, oh, it's because you're braking, and then it's because you're accelerating. Either way, something's not right. I think it's drive shaft, he seems to think it's something in the rotor. I'm happy to be proven wrong. I just want the car back, ASAP. The Audi dealership, when I had the car recovered up to them, said there was no cars available. Fair enough, it was, you know, last minute notice kind of thing. But the problem is that I need a car. As you can see, I've got stuff in the boot. I've been throwing stuff around and putting stuff in there all day long and moving it about. So I said, I need a car. They said, we don't have a car. I've ended up with one that was for sale. This car in particular is an Audi A5, and it's up for about 35 grand. It's got just over 1,000 miles on it. There's nothing saying it's an S-line on the wheel or the seats or anything or on the arches. I think it's just a fairly basic A5, but it's got a few nice options. You've got the virtual cockpit, you've got the comfort and sound package, which means that you've got Bang & Olufsen, which is pretty cool, and I've been using that today, and it's, yeah, reasonable. It's got folding mirrors. I wish my car had folding mirrors. However, it has a measly 150 horsepower. 0 to 60 in 8.9 seconds. It's not a car you get in to really enjoy, but I must say that it's quite comfortable. The seats are nice. The seatbelt gets given to you by your chauffeur in the back here. And yeah, it's all right, it's not too bad. It's only 2 doors, so that's been a bit of an issue, getting stuff in and out of it, but it is what it is. But overall, it's a nice car, but it's not a car for me. You know, I need something that I can put big boxes into. That's why I've got the Avant. But to use for the next couple of days while they're kind of sorting out the issues with the S4, it's fine. I'm not too worried about it. It smells nice and fresh in here. Maybe not so much when I've had the windbreaks in the back, but again, I'm going about my daily business. That's the whole point of having a courtesy car. So you have the courtesy of doing everything you usually do. So I'm lugging my stock around from my shop on this lovely day, ready for the weekend. It's got a 2-litre engine, 4 cylinders, and yeah, it feels quite nippy in a way. Not so much really like this, but I have it in dynamic and I have it in sport, and I have actually quite enjoyed the paddles. I don't usually use the paddles on the S4 too much, only when I'm kind of, you know, chopping down the gears quite quickly or speeding up or whatever else. But in this, it's quite fun, you know, you can smack it down and you can kind of put the foot down. It doesn't obviously push you back in the same way that the S4 does, because obviously it's a different animal altogether. It doesn't give you a, oh, I'm going quick, but it just gives you a nice glide along, like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll pick it up fairly quickly. So 150 horsepower, 2 litres, petrol, not much more to know about it, to be honest. 199 pound-feet of torque, but I do quite like the looks. I like the chrome on the interior here. This chrome piece in here, mine's got the brushed aluminium, so I don't know why I'm calling it chrome. The brushed aluminium, this is more like a pitted aluminium. I don't quite know how, it's like weaved. The interior is pretty much the same as my S4, to be honest. It's not changed all that much. I haven't got the big dial here that I have in the middle, because obviously all of this now is touchscreen, being 6 years newer than my S4. Yeah, that's quite crazy actually, 6 years newer, but to be honest, it hasn't changed that much. This is in the Mythos black, and yeah, it looks quite smart in the black. I can already see swirl marks where it's been cleaned. It's only 1,000 miles old. That's the thing with these black cars, especially because the glass on these Audis, the paint on these Audis are like glass. Cool thing about this car is it's got 360 cameras, which mine doesn't. So it's got the reversing camera and it's got the 360 camera. So as I'm coming along to places, I can actually then see a bird's eye view of the car and keep an eye on everything going on around it, which is ideal. The only thing I do think about is the fact that with all of this tech that this car has got, such as touchscreen here and the 360 cameras and all of this, is that you have to manually move your seat, which, you know, I would have thought by now would be something that's not really done. Of course, it's only a 2-door, so yes, you have to do a latch on the back of the seat to be able to get into the back seats. But I would have thought that at least the lumbar support, the back and forth, you know, the tilt and all that would be electric, but it's not, it is all manual. So I was feeling around earlier, and yeah, you've got these little levers and, you know, pivots and stuff to use to move your seat, and it just feels a bit ancient. You know, this is 2023. I haven't been able to get it into 8th yet, so I'm wondering whether it's just a 7-speed S-tronic potentially. But there's not much more to say about it. It's okay. The brakes feel a little bit snatchy. You know, through town here, yeah, it's fairly big, but it's not any real bigger than the S4. I do wonder whether it's a little bit longer than the S4, because I did a corner earlier that I usually get around it in 1 in the S4. but it might just be because I kind of misjudged it because it is a different car. The wheels look okay, you know, they're chrome and they look a bit small for the car, I think. But then again, I suppose that if it is a lower end A5, maybe that's it. I am back in my Audi S4 after about 2 weeks and I'm very, very happy. Yes, I had a brilliant Kia Picanto for a week. Yes, I had a brilliant Audi A5 for the week, but the S4 is just something different, isn't it? Yes, it's 6 years older than that A5, but what a car this is. 6 years old. It's quick, it does everything I need it to do, it's brilliant. So what was it in the end? Well, you know, back in the video I said that, oh, it had both wheel bearings done and Audi had told me that. That was the day that I went to pick it up originally. When I went to pick it up the other day, it turns out that they hadn't changed the wheel bearing. On the phone I said, what have you done? What have you changed? Is it actually fixed? I don't want to come all the way back up again if it's not being fixed. Oh no, it's fine, it's been test driven, it's fixed. Turns out they changed the wheel bearing. What? Hang on a minute, I hear you say. Didn't they change the wheel bearing originally? Well, that's what I was told. Yes, we've changed both wheel bearings. Turns out they hadn't. They changed the driver's side, even though the sound was coming from the passenger side. There was also quite a big list of other things that was wrong with the car, which I will put up on your screen now. And I might just do a voiceover and talk about them, because there's quite a bit to talk about. There was obviously the wheel bearing. There was pads and discs on the front and the back. Even though the front was only 50% worn, they wanted around £900 to change the front pads and discs. As you can imagine, I did not go for that option. I just kind of said, I only want the wheel bearing done, that's what it's gone in for. It hasn't gone in for everything else. Of course, the other things were stuff that they couldn't fix, such as buckled wheels. They say that my wheels are buckled. They got no reason to kind of big that up and be like, oh yeah, buckled, because they don't make any money because they're not going to sell me a new set of wheels as such. So, yeah, I don't quite know what to do about that. Buckled alloys isn't great, but I have got new tyres on these. It might be that I go and take the tyres off and put on my original S4 alloys potentially. That's half the reason I kept them, because then I've got them if I ever need them. But these jugs have only been on the car for a year and a half. They're already buckled. I think it was 2 of them that were buckled. So what's next in the JAYP calendar? Well, I need to get this XJS sorted as soon as possible because I need to get some money back out of it, and I also want to drive it at some point. Get the new interior in. Yeah, it's quite a bit to do actually. Hopefully I can get the 5.3 litre V12 started up. If you follow me on Instagram, you have seen a story where I actually get it started up and it was extremely loud. Yeah, I might have made a bit of a boo-boo on that because I forgot to put the return springs in for the throttle pedestal. So I put my foot on the accelerator to give it a bit of a rev, and it went straight to the floor and just opened up the throttle pedestal when it would not close. So it went bang, and then I shut it off. So yeah, that was a bit naughty. This is what the car's for. Woo! What a motor. What a motor. Can't go anywhere in the UK, can you, without there being some kind of roadwork? Oh, I'm stuck behind. Oh, it's like 7 cars. That's my drive over and done with. Might as well switch the camera off. See you in another video. Please do remember to like, comment and subscribe to the channel. We're seeing quite an uplift in the amount of people coming over. And you're all actually watching the videos quite a long time. I'm really appreciative of that. And we finally have become monetized. I know, 3 years in the making, finally making about 50p a day. I'm really happy with that because I'm doing it out the love of you guys mainly. So I don't care. 50p a day, just, you know, it pays for a third of a quarter of a litre of fuel. Very nice. See you later on, guys.